sun comes
You're Joker.
There's been so much discussion about this movie being a musical, but how did you land on a prison drama and a courtroom drama aspect of the film?
Well, we just wanted it to, we wanted it to feel real. We wanted it to answer the questions that a lot of people had in the first movie. What happened, what didn't happen. And what would have happened if that all really happened as it did is you would probably have to face the music at some point for the crimes you committed, and that's where this movie picks up.
I love that. I love that. Now, you really took a bold path with this film, moving further away from the comic book characters' roots. Is there any part of you that worries how DC fans could react given that it's so different than they may expect?
No. I mean, and I don't mean that in a rude way, but it's just not what you can't necessarily concern yourself with that when you're making films, when you're creating art or whatever you're doing. You have to kind of ignore the results to some extent and do your thing. Yeah, so no, and I don't mean that in a way of like we don't care. It's more just like
listen, I appreciate
just gets in
that.
the way of the thing.
Of the storytelling, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Now, if Scorsese was a big influence on part one, who would you say is your biggest influence on the sequel?
Well, I don't know that there was, the biggest influence on part one was a time of when movies were made, of course.
Sure.
You know, yes, clearly there are movies made by Martin Scorsese, Taxi Driver, King of Comedy, that clearly show up in the DNA of the first film. But it was really the 70s in general, filmmaking in the 70s. There's a lot of network in it. There's Serpico in my mind in it. There's Dog Day Afternoon in it. All those movies that I grew up loving find their way into this. In this one, again, it's not a specific film, but it's a different time. And it harkens back to a lot of the old Hollywood musicals in those fantasy moments. And then it also continues the language cinematically of the first film.
I also personally love the fact that Arthur's, a lot of the music that he hears is these love ballads, and she has these songs of power, which I think is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a good thing that you noticed. It's too different.
Yeah, that's such a cool element. Now, with Joaquin, we know that he can sing. He did walk the line. How did he match up with Lady Gaga in some of those musical scenes?
Well, it wasn't so much about matching up. He's singing as Arthur.
Sure.
And, maybe in Walk the Line he was singing, obviously, as Johnny Cash. In this, he's singing as Arthur, and she's singing as Lee for a lot of it. So she had to unlearn some things, and he certainly had to learn some things. But while I would say, we're not trying to make him into Frank Sinatra, but what he is doing is he's singing with emotion, and I think that is what pulls you in. In other words, you don't have to hit all the right notes and hold all the right keys. But if you sing with emotion, it could mean more.
For the music, just out of curiosity, I know that a lot of musical elements usually are pre-recorded. I know that Joaquin really likes the creative freedom to do different kind of takes. Can you talk about how your approach to filmmaking may have differed from the musical aspect of this, with him having that creative freedom, and also Lady Gaga's different approach to maybe the music in this film?
Well, I think all what you're getting at is we all want it to feel like it's the first time we're doing it. So if you record something 3 months before and then you're lip syncing to it on set, it kind of loses the urgency and it loses the spontaneity that an actor like Joaquin and Gaga want the movie to have, and me as a director. So we decided early on to sing live, which is daunting for Joaquin, not daunting for Gaga.
Sure.
She's like, yeah, of course. That's what she wanted. He was like, oh God, what am I signed up for here? But I think he quickly realized this was the only way to do it, because it enabled him to do every take the way he was experiencing the day and the moment, which is all you want an actor to do.